Thanks for staying here on Joy News. The Accra Psychiatric Hospital is in dire need of some laboratory equipment that will help it run effectively. The hospital's biochemistry analyzer has broken down since last year. To be transported to other hospitals for lab tests to be conducted. Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba has been interacting with George Arthur, who is a medical lab scientist at the hospital.
An analyzer for our blood count, what we call the hematology analyzer. You need a biochemistry analyzer. That's what we use for the liver, the kidney, the cholesterol, then checking of diabetes and all that. We also need one for therapeutic drug monitoring, as I indicated some time ago. That as patients are being given drugs, we need to monitor the dosaging, the levels, to see how effective the treatment has been. And also, people who abuse drugs, when they come in, the diagnostic process, we also will need that analyzer. So that analyzer can do a whole lot for us as a facility.
And you don't have all of that here?
We don't have all of that here. You can see the place is virtually empty. So I think when you're able to get these machines, you can get the place finished and fully operational.
Now, tell me about the situation here in this, lab already. Do you have the necessary equipment? And, I mean, all the things that you need, do you have all of them here?
I wouldn't say we have all.
You talk about the machine.
The machine, precisely. We used to have one. Yes, we used to have. It's called the biochemistry analyzer.
Biochemistry analyzer.
This machine, as it's been covered, has broken down for about a year now, and it's beyond repairs. So we are only able, as it is now, to run liver function tests, to run the kidney test, to run the cholesterol, to run the diabetes checks, which they are all vital for our patients. So I think a complete replacement will do.
It's broken.
It's broken down beyond repairs.
Wow.
Beyond repairs.
So what I use it to check what? Is it liver?
The liver, as we are giving medication, the major place where the drug is broken down is the liver. And sometimes the drug has effect on the liver, so we need to monitor the liver. The kidney is also another important organ in the body that needs to monitor. And then we need to monitor the cholesterol levels and all that, because some of the psychotropic drugs, as we take it, the people tend to put on weight. They accumulate more of the cholesterol. So we need to monitor all that one. And diabetes also has a link with mental illness. So you also need to investigate and then rule out diabetes when you want to establish a mental condition. So as it is now, the machine is down. We are unable to run all those tests.
Wow. So what do you do if you need to run all these tests that you're talking about? What do you do?
So sometimes it's a pity when you have to refer patients out. Patients that sometimes they come, they have no money to afford some of these tests and all that. So it's really been a challenge.
This is an extension of the Accra Psychiatric Laboratory. In fact, where I am right now, it is dark inside here. You can actually hear my voice echo because this extension is not fully functional right now because they don't have the necessary equipment here in this extended part of the laboratory. But that's not the only challenge here. There are also issues regarding some machines that have broken down. In fact, the biochemistry analyzer has broken down for over a year, and as it stands right now, it has not been fixed. In fact, patients here are often referred to other facilities to get treatment. This is the machine I'm talking about, the biochemistry analyzer, and the hospital is crying for help to fix this machine. Reporting for Joy News, Maxwell Agbagba.
Now, the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining has declared today Red Friday. This is part of efforts to sensitize Ghanaians against the menace. The action comes days after the expiration of the 21-day ultimatum given the Galamsey operators to stop. My colleague Patricia Gasu visited some media houses this morning, and let's watch this.
It's a Red Friday and it's hashtag No to Galamsey. The campaign still continues. All media practitioners are required to wear red today. And as usual, you can see me in red. I'm at Graphic Communications Limited and I'm going in there to speak to some of my colleagues here.
Stop Galamsey. We are killing.
I agree to a no to Galamsey in the sense that those who are fighting for Galamsey to be sustained, the country can survive I mean, today, but in the near future, we are going to have negative effects of galamsey. Therefore, we must all desist and then push for it to be stopped.
No longer matters. You see, the future will judge us.
Personally, I am passionate about this because I'm from the Achim area and I have two big rivers around, Pra and Brim. As I knew it when I was growing up, everything has changed. The last time I got to cross Pra, I only saw mud, not river. And I think that we should rally to stop the menace. I mean, no matter the ounces of gold people get from the river, it cannot replace lives. And we need water to survive. And that is the reason I am passionate. And I am happy that my company has taken this up and we're leading it. And we'll lead it to its conclusion.
Galamsey should be stopped immediately. Because if care is not taken, Ghana is going to import potable water, which is going to be very costly, and then it will affect the future generation. So then we have to put an immediate stop to galamsey.
I have in front of me a signature campaign for hashtag Stop Galamsey Movement as a Ghana Media Project 2017. So Stop Galamsey, avert ending water and environmental crisis. Save Ghana. So what I'm going to do now is to sign. I think I have to move to the next page. Huh?
You still have some.
Okay, so I'm number 28 and my name is on this particular sheet. And my name is Patricia Gasu for Accra.
Thank you.
And then I sign. My beautiful signature. Today is 21st April 2017. Okay, so I have also joined the campaign, hashtag No to Galamsey.
Thank you very much for joining the campaign. Well, I'm happy you are here. This issue of stopping galamsey is very dear to my heart. If you listen to some of the commentaries coming from the galamsey areas, people cannot even get water to drink. This we anticipate will happen in some years ahead, not today in Ghana. If we are facing the water crisis today, then when the whole world is supposed to face a crisis, where would we be? I'm happy you signed this campaign.
Rap, stop galamsey. We are killing galamsey, so stop galamsey now.
Stop galamsey now! Now, 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 now!
The campaign still continues and is the hashtag No to Galamsey. I'm currently at CTFM with Bernard Avle and Okay, I just want to know how they are contributing to this Stop Galamsey Now.
Stop galamsey now. Charlie, it's been massive. For the whole week, we've been doing like reports on galamsey effect on water. This week has been on water, and luckily the regional minister, went to the Eastern region. So we had a report out there. We did a couple of documentaries on the effect of galamsey on water. So we're just doing tweets and social media stuff on Stop Galamsey. I'm wearing my CTFM.
Yeah, I can see that hashtag.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just Stop Galamsey now.
But the hashtag is Stop Galamsey now.
Okay.
So it's massive. Stop galamsey now. No to galamsey. Ban galamsey now. Everything galamsey must go down, and that's what we are doing here today.
Yeah, Stop Galamsey and white Stop Galamsey.
Yeah.
I went from the black Stop Galamsey to the white Stop Galamsey. And yes, I think I match it by wearing red.
But there's a red here. So as Bernard said, we've been talking about it using all sorts of media, so traditional media, social media as well, and also engaging those in policy. We are engaging legislators, parliament, we are engaging the government, because as much as we want to get the whole Ghana involved, we need to get the key actors also involved so that we get some action.
How far are we going with this campaign?
You know, the good thing is, you can enter a fight knowing when it ends. That's normal. But if you enter a fight not knowing
when it's going to end,
because there are people who say they are waiting for the minister to stop the tour, then they'll come back to do the galamsey. We have airtime and we're going to push. And the great thing is that all the media is involved. It's not just a CTFM thing. Joy, Graphic, Times, Occupy Ghana. So if somebody gets tired, somebody else is going to continue. And I really think that by the end of the year 2017, we would see some massive changes, because the way the media is concerted and talking about this, it will take a really, really brave person to continue doing galamsey, looking at how influential and powerful the media is. So for me, I think it's a fight we have to win, and we'll not stop until we win.
Okay. So, as he says, we are not stopping until we win. The campaign still continues. Is the hashtag Stop Galamsey now.
Rap, stop galamsey. We are killing galamsey. So stop galamsey now. Galamsey.
And indeed, it's hashtag here at Johnny's No to Galamsey. And as you can see, I'm also in red, in full support of the campaign. We must save our water bodies now. Moving on, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has described allegations of conflict of interest in government's recent 15-year bond sale as mischievous and ignorant. The minority at a news conference this week criticized government over how it went about raising over $2 billion from investors. They say the transaction is shrouded in secrecy, cooked to favor one investor, and didn't have parliamentary approval. But speaking to journalists after an engagement with investors in Washington, D.C. last night, the Vice President said it's unfortunate for such comments to come from people who should know better.
strategy of reprofiling is just replacing shorter-term debt with longer-term debt and more expensive debt with less expensive debt. And this is what we started doing a couple of weeks ago, and it has proven very successful, and we hope to continue doing that. Ultimately, to be able to bring down your debt burden, there are two things you need to do. You need to grow your economy. When you grow the economy, it expands, your revenues grow, your GDP grows, and of course, your debt to GDP ratios will fall. So the burden of the debt will also fall. Strategically, you also have to bring fiscal discipline to bear. If you bring fiscal discipline to bear and manage your expenditures relative to your revenues, it means you are going to borrow less. And when you borrow less, the debt increases less. So you've got to have a combination of strategies where you're increasing your revenues, controlling your expenditures, bringing down your deficits, you're growing your economy, you're managing your exchange rate so that there is stability in it so that it doesn't add to the debt and so on.
The Vice President adds that the issuance of the 15-year bond is part of a government plan to use long-dated papers to reduce the public debt.
There was a lack of understanding. The minority have never understood this economy, and it is just amazing that people on that side who were actually in charge of managing the economy will be making such statements. It shows ignorance. It really shows ignorance, and I am so sad when I hear that from people who should know better. And so they need to understand. Maybe they should read a little. They need to understand what took place. We issued a CD bond. There is no secrecy to the matter. It was very well invested in. The holders have invested many times in Ghana. The bonds that were in place when SECTEC issued them, they bought them. 24% interest rate. This time is 19%. So we are doing even much better. But this is what politics has been reduced to, trying to say things which really have no basis and are, basically wrapped in ignorance. So I'm a bit sad for Ghana and for them, because they are really demonstrating a lot of ignorance of the process of management of this economy. And I think that is where we are.
Now, the minority spokesperson on finance, Keso Atoforsin, has hit back at the Vice President for describing their view on government's recent domestic bond issuance as ignorant. He insists Dr. Bawumia's comments are not presidential. He spoke to Raymond Akwa.
And I have no reason to doubt that is the Vice President who spoke. But I doubt that this matter can come from the mouth of a Vice President. Because one, it is not presidential, as I said, and clearly the fact that we should recognize that the minority has a big responsibility given to them by the Constitution of this Republic as a major stakeholder in governance to raise concerns when they think that things have not gone well for the betterment of this country. Our concerns are simple. I heard the Vice President talking about the fact that one, the company concerned, Franklin Templeton, has been in the system. We've never denied that. We've said they've been in the system in the past. But what we are saying is the circumstances that this bond was issued is very much so very different from what we have seen in the past. Secondly, the Vice President made comment that in the past we issued a bond at 24%. Let me say clearly and ask the Vice President some few questions. Question one from me to the Vice President. Mr. Vice President, simple.
Okay, so I'll come to your questions, forgive me, because that's the detail that we will explore in this particular case. So you don't believe that the comments from the Vice President was presidential? Are they saying that it's not true? Did you display ignorance of the exact issues that we're talking about at this particular point in time? Since you've been in the ministry, did you deliberately feign knowledge of having to engage this Franklin Templeton in times past?
I think that's what I was trying to explain, that he was saying that we've engaged them with 24% in the past. And what I'm trying to say is that 24% in the past, the tenor wasn't 7 years. The tenor indeed wasn't 15 years. So you cannot compare a 2-year bond at 24% or 3-year bond at 24% to 19.75% tenor bond.
So
you can also
19 for 15 years, you think is not a better deal than 24%? For how many years was it anyway?
He's making reference to a 2-year bond at 24%.
Yeah.
You cannot compare 2-year bond 24% to that of a 15-year bond at 19.75.
So the shorter the period, the higher the interest in this case.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Because you are locking it in for a very long time. And one will expect that under the yield curve principle, clearly, if it's going to be a longer dated bond, you pay lower than a short dated bond. That is the principle. That is how the market works.
But the amount of money is involved, doesn't it also matter?
Yes, and then also you will notice that in the past, you didn't see one single transaction of $2.25 billion.
Because you're not ambitious enough, that's the claim.
It's not about ambitious, it's not about ambition. But the fact that, let us also remember, that at the time the bond was issued, inflation was in the middle, around 18-19%. Today we are talking about 13-point-something% inflation. Yeah. So can you compare that to this time? Can you compare the monetary policy rate then to today to the monetary policy rate? Comparing like with like. So I treat him, he's asking us that we don't read. He should go back and read. Rather read the very comment that we've made. We've never said that we've never engaged Franklin Templeton in the past. We've engaged them in the past. So that is the concern. Let us go back to the issue. Yeah. You see, I'm sure you've heard the Honorable Haruna Idrisu coming out with a statement.
Not just issued a statement. The Ministry of Finance, where you worked previously, which is actually predominantly made up of public servants that worked with you too, many of these, we understand, prepared this particular document which was released, is saying that, mindful of the fact that you particularly have been in the ministry, you should have, for instance, known that the issuance of the bond couldn't have been secretive. The procedure, the processes outlined are very clear, yet you sought to create the impression that this was done in a secretive manner.
Okay. Let me raise 2 points here. One, I doubt the statement was coming from the Ministry of Finance and public sector.
When you say your doubt, I mean...
And I explain why I doubt it. Okay. You could see spelling mistakes everywhere in the statement. And I know Ministry of Finance, have worked with them, how professional they are in this statement.
Sorry, I mean, I've done a gross reading of this particular statement. Can you, yes, yeah, one specifically.
Look at the spelling of aspersions. It's wrongly spelled.
Aspersions?
Yes, it's wrongly spelled. It's there. I mean, check it. That's the statement.
And so even the Ministry of Finance, there can't be a mistake there?
I doubt. I have my doubt. I've worked there in the past, so that's what I'm saying. Okay. And secondly, let me point you to one fact. What the minority is saying is simple. We are not seeking to malign anybody. We have cause for concern. Our concerns are legitimate. Our concerns are needed. Very important, we have to make this clear to the public. We are saying that, one, contrary to what the Ministry of Finance is saying, that, one, the issuance calendar advertised a 5 and a 7-year bond, a 7-year bond and a 15-year bond. It's untrue. You can check the issuance calendar from the ministry, from the Bank of Ghana website. Okay. There's nothing like that. So one, that is not correct. Number two, we, in the minority statement that Honorable Haruna Idrisu has just signed and sent out, we made certain point that the guideline to the bond was issued around 5:37 p.m. on the 30th of March, at a time that we believe that most domestic investors may have gone to sleep or left their offices. We say this because you will notice that if it is a domestic bond, clearly the description is that you market it to local investors, domestic investors, whereas you open a window for others like foreigners to participate. So your focus is on domestic investors, but you are opening a window for foreigners to participate. If you send the issuance calendar, the guideline around 5:37 p.m., you open the transaction around 9 a.m. and you make an announcement to the public after you have opened it. This is our concern. What we're also saying is that you will notice clearly in the emails that they sent out, the Ghanaian investor, ordinary Ghanaian investor, had an announcement around 9:09 after the transaction has been opened. It was quickly done. Around 4:20 p.m., the issuance, the same day, around 4:20 p.m. on the same day, on the 31st, then issuance summary came.
But they said they issued on March 30, not 31st rather.
No, March 30th, around 5:37 p.m.
You're also watching News Today on Journey. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Thank you for staying. Now, stop spitting in public and do things that are earth-friendly. Those are the words of the project coordinator of Whispers of Nature, an environmentally friendly group. His comment comes as the world marks International Earth Day tomorrow, 22nd April 2017. The day is marked worldwide every year to serve as a reminder of the need to help preserve the earth and its ecosystems as the provider and sustenance of life. Speaking with me earlier on News Desk, Divine Agboli said there is a need to keep the environment safe for all.
Stop spitting, stop open defecation, stop littering. Don't throw litter around.
But spit is part of life, so if you say stop spitting, how exactly do you mean?
You don't need to spit just anywhere. I mean, you need to do it properly. Yes, we need to live more responsible lives as citizens. We need to take charge of the issues affecting our environment. And let me just say that you just have to start and take part in saving our environment. Today is the time, not tomorrow, not next year, but today. We really have to. And we must start. This was said by Malina in Philippines.
Now, in order to help check the spread of diseases like diarrhea and cholera, the chief of Katui farming community in the Kasana and Nankana West districts of the Upper East region has set up a task force to sensitize the community members to put up latrines in their homes. Correspondent Albesori Hasmo.
Katui, a large rural community with homes far apart from each other and lots of free, open lands. The nature of the settlement made open defecation a normal practice in past years, but after the Rural Initiatives for Self-Empowerment, RISE Ghana, implemented a behavior change program aimed at ending open defecation in this community, the people decided it was time to change. As Bafao Togwe, a community member here at Katui, puts it, the education they were given simply made them realize that defecating in the open meant that they would be consuming their own excreta in the long run.
We used to defecate everywhere in the open, and that meant that animals, houseflies, could go and sit on the feces and bring it back to our homes and sit on our food and water. And if you consume such food or water, you can get cholera and other diseases, and your general health situation could even suffer.
He has now constructed this small mud structure, a latrine which he uses with his family of 5. This kind of latrines are found in more than 90% of homes here at Katui, even though there are a few public toilets. The community members say the latrines are quite simple to construct and come with benefits.
I have 2 wives and 5 children. We all use this latrine. Other people who have no toilet in their homes come to use ours. Imagine defecating in this open place. You are squatting there naked and someone happens to be passing by. It is too embarrassing. It also spread diseases. So the latrines are very important.
We construct this toilet because when we go out, we don't know where to hide and make our toilet there. So we decided to construct this toilet to help us. I'm advising those who do not have toilets that they should try to construct some because you have sickness on them dropping all the toilet around.
We do have sickness here because of the toilet. So that's why we benefit the toilet because of the sickness here.
So these are not your everyday toilets like the ones we use in the city. They are very small makeshift structures that the people here at KTU use, to attend nature's call. And basically, they are doing this because they don't want to spread diseases. And the chief of the town has set up a task force that is educating the people to make sure that a lot more of these structures are built to ensure that diseases don't spread, and also to encourage people to build more toilets. The paramount chief of the area, Per Ayekode Zanguio Atoge IV, plays an important role in ensuring that KTU becomes an open defecation-free community.
Defecating around was very bad. People used to have free themselves anywhere, especially open places, which we're having a lot of problems with that because due to the lack of access to an enclosed place. That was the whole situation we're having. But I think of late things are getting better. We've seen a lot of improvement.
He has set up a task force charged with the responsibility of sensitizing community members to put up latrines in their homes.
Actually, the biggest problem is always the materials that they need to construct this toilet in their homes. What I usually do is for the task force so that they go help, especially with the labor. Work sometimes I have to provide the pickaxe and the shovel. Then they will go and then help dig, hole, everything. Sometimes move bricks here. We use bricks because of due to lack of some finance.
Linus Dampari and Thomas Zanguio are 2 of 13 members of this task force.
When this program started 5 months ago, then till now, we've experienced that a lot of diseases have started stopping. And at the same time, in the olden days, how much we experienced cholera and diarrhea and all those things, now I can say 75% of those sicknesses are being reduced in the community. So because through this, we know that this program has surely helped in the community.
Within KTU, we formed 5 membership of elders who went back to their communities and then had assistance. And then they went to the various sections and then started mobilizing the people. There we succeeded in our program.
The architecture of houses here at KTU is typically local. Brown mud rooms built with low walls joining them to form a circular or rectangular shape, leaving a space in the middle that serves as a compound for the home and also a place for keeping water storage containers and sometimes cooking utensils. If a disease outbreak occurs, it could easily spread very fast amongst family members. Executive Director of the Rural Initiatives for Self-Empowerment, Awal Ahmed, says the implementation of a behavior change for improved health program at KTU was successful mainly because the people embraced it.
When you consider data from the basis, that's the Water and Sanitation Department data, it indicates that 89% of the Upper East population practice open defecation. And the challenge with this is that it has a lot of negative consequences in terms of households, in terms of the well-being of children. So going forward, that's why we are very excited to have partnered with UNICEF to promote a set of 12 behaviors known as the basket of 12 behaviors.
From KTU in the Kasna-Nankana West District of the Upper East Region, Albert Sorry, reporting for Joy News.
Now, President of the Northern Ghana Union of the Seventh-day Adventist Church is calling for a national discourse on exploitation of the vulnerable in the name of religion. Pastor Kwame Boakye advocates severe punishment for people whose activities breach the laws of the state to serve as deterrent. He says the growing tendency for some pastors to hide behind a cassock to amass wealth and perpetrate sexual and other forms of abuse against the citizenry in church must stop. Ohiminteria reports.
According to Pastor Kwame Boakye, the modern self-seeking minister of the gospel has instituted a system which lures and preys on church members into accepting deceit for prophecy. Some pastors he knows are even resorting to occultism to dupe their own congregation. Pastor Kwame Boakye says Ghanaians must be concerned about the present state of the church.
I'm much worried about how people are using wealth, abusing themselves in the ministry because of wealth, because of sex, and because of power. We depend upon the word of God, knowing Jesus Christ. After all, we are proclaiming his gospel. So Christ must be internalized in the minister. Pastors can go to the extent of taking water from even mortuary for their congregation to grow. Is that the gospel? Paul says in Romans chapter 1 and verse 16 that he is not ashamed of the gospel. So the word of God is power. And people have done away with the word of God. They have jettisoned the word of God. Right now, the whole world is frustrated. I am sick. I need prosperous life. I want my job to grow very well. And I'm also financially handicapped. I'm poor. People have been complaining of all these things. And pastors, the so-called pastors, quack pastors, they heard some of these people. So in a way, they put system in place, said that they can lure you by telling you that I have vision concerning you.
Pastor Kwame Boakye spoke with Joy News on the sidelines of church leaders' retreat and ordination at Ntonso in the Ashanti region. Though he's against state regulation of church, he wants ministers of the gospel who flout the law to be seriously dealt with. According to him, reverend ministers should be held responsible for actions that run contrary to state laws.
If, as a pastor, I commit any crime, the state will have to deal with me according to the state laws. But I'm not coming to manage how I should do my ministry. After all, they are not the word of God. There is religious liberty, fine. Everybody will have the right, the opportunity to worship his God or her God. How he feels or she feels, she can approach God. So, but if any minister, any pastor commits crime against the state, then the state has the audacity to come and make some arrest.
From Kumasi for Joy News, Ohiminteria report.
Kente weavers at Bonre in the Ashanti region say they are looking forward to a manifestation of President Akufo-Addo's one district, one factory promise in their trade to ease the challenges that confront them. Key amongst the challenges is the rising cost of imported Kente yarn, which they say threatens the future of the enterprise and livelihood of the thousands of Ghanaians it employs. Love FM's Kwesi Debra visited the proverbial Kente town as President Akufo-Addo marked the first 100 days in office to engage the weavers.
Located in the Jusujabi municipality, Bonre, the birthplace of Asante Kente cloth, is 18 kilometers from Kumasi. It is arguably the largest producer of the traditional fabric in Ghana. Frank Sapon has been working at the Bonre Kente Weaving Center for over 20 years. He started this work soon after leaving junior high school. Frank has trained more than 20 people who are now plying their trade in other parts of the country. He is, however, worried about the rising cost of kente cloth, a situation he blames on unavailability of yarns.
The
yarns are very expensive. It is usually imported, so the kente is becoming expensive. If Nanado can set up a yarn factory, it will help boost sales. Otunforce Kentehene and not Pebo Ade Yabua Santa Maria shares similar sentiments.
One problem we have at Bonre is the yarns that are used to make the kente. We don't produce them here. We have to import them. And of late, some people are bringing them from China. As for the quality, we are not very sure. But would there be a source that will carry on coming? Will be coming all the time. That's the problem.
In the 2016 presidential elections, the NPP garnered 76.3% of the votes in the region, a 6% increase of 2012 figures. Frank says it was largely due to their belief in Nanado's one district, one factory policy to rescue the business. We voted for Nanado because we thought since he loves kente, he will quickly come here to set up a yarn factory. Government has implemented some initiatives in the first 100 days. Though much is expected of government, Frank says Bonre has recorded massive sales in the first 100 days of Nanado. When NPP comes into power, kente sales go up. All of us have experienced it. Nana Deyabua Santamre and Frank believe it is too early to properly assess the president.
As a teacher, I don't mark scripts. I don't give marks when I've not read through the whole script. I've not experienced it. But this is a projection. I suspect that he can get through. So as of now, I give him 60%. Yeah.
They voted massively for Nanado Dankwa Kufuado in the 2016 elections because they believed that when he comes around, he'll be able to turn things around. And of course, they have seen it in the first 100 days. But they would want to see more from the government. Perhaps a massive kente factory won't be a bad idea. Reporting from Bonre in the Jusujabi municipality of the Ashanti region, Kwesi Debra.
When we come back from the break, Emmanuel Abwajiri will be telling us exclusively what the Vice President has been saying about the energy sector debt. Details coming up shortly in business.
Hello, a very good afternoon to you and warm welcome to business. The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, says government will soon issue a 15-year bond to help clear debts in the energy sector. The country is yet to clear a significant amount of debts in the energy sector despite the introduction of levies to clear the debt. The Vice President has also been speaking about reviewing the Millennium Challenge Compact with the United States government.
Now, ESLA, the energy sector levy, is dealing with all the liabilities of every, one of these SOEs. But what we would do is have one bond which will take off all those liabilities, and government will service those bonds with the ESLA revenue. So it's a much neater situation and allows the space for our energy companies, the VRAs and so on, to have much stronger balance sheets to grow again and to invest again and to attract investment again. In fact, in the area of energy, we also talked to the Millennium Challenge Corporation. When we got here, we have been trying to renegotiate the concession agreement. As you know, the NDC government had signed on to a compact as far as concession in ECG was concerned. So we've been talking to the Millennium Challenge Corporation on that matter. And we've renegotiated the agreement in a sense to make sure that this concession agreement, number one, has majority Ghanaian ownership of the concession. We've insisted on that. It has to be majority Ghanaian owned. And secondly, we have to have an assurance that there will be no layoffs at ECG as a result. And also it will be managed by Ghanaians. And so we have got those three elements that we have insisted on, and we have gotten an understanding on these three elements. And I think it's good news for Ghana, and it's good news for all the players in the energy sector.
The Vice President was speaking with George Uafe at the ongoing annual IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington, D.C. Away from that, government is considering setting up an independent body to regulate cases of piracy and intellectual property. Speaking in an interview after the launch of a data protection policy in Accra, Communications Minister Esla Owusu-Ekufo revealed that government is currently engaging key stakeholders in the communication sector to come out with practicable measures to help end the challenge of piracy. Bringing more of these and other stories shortly on the marketplace. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Good afternoon.
Hello there, good afternoon. I am Baba Tandawa and I have the latest in the world of sports. Let's get talking right here, right now. Reappointed Black Stars manager Kwesi Appiah has touched down to begin his 2-year mandate. Joy Sports' Benedict Owusu was at the Kotoka International Airport to meet Kwesi Appiah on arrival, and he joins me on phone with details of what happened there. Hello, good afternoon to you, Benedict. Tell us what happened when Kwesi Appiah touched down at the Kotoka International Airport.
Well, Rashida, overwhelming, support for Kwesi Appiah already coming through, because this morning the number of fans as well as the Ghanaians that turned up at the airport to welcome Kwesi Appiah was very, very encouraging. And even himself, when he touched down and he, came out and he saw the number of people that had come to the airport to welcome him, he was so excited. And when we had the opportunity to speak to him, he told us how overwhelmed he is to see the number of people that turned up at the airport to welcome him. The simple message he had for us this afternoon is that he's back to do everything that he can to ensure that the Black Stars, as we all know, becomes big again on the African continent. And also, he spoke about how he will need the support of Ghanaians, everybody, in his quest to change the fortunes of the team.
Benedict, he spoke, but was there like an interaction between him and the media or him and the fans? Was there any two-way conversation? It was both. With the media, he gave us his address, that he's so excited to be back, and that he's looking forward to working again and getting the Black Stars to a level that we all want it to be. I had the opportunity to ask him if, he anticipated this quick comeback, and he said, yes, in our life, at every point in our life, when you are there and think about things, and obviously there is something you want, and you feel that initially when you were given the opportunity, you were not allowed to do whatever you were supposed to do, and you get a chance to come back. It's always joy and excitement. So for him, whilst he left the Black Stars job and he went to Ghana, he knew a day like this was going to come, a day that he was going to get a job again was going to come. But when he didn't know, so
he was very surprised that he came quick, but he was expecting to return as Ghana coach. And after speaking to the media, the fans that came there, the Die-Hard Supporters Union, as well as the Nationwide Supporters Union, he went to them, interacted with them, and thanked them for their support so far. And he's been hearing everything that people are saying, and he's been reading as well, and he knows that people are much pleased with the referee's decision to give him the job again. And he promised that he's also going to do everything in his power to ensure that we get the best out of our Black Stars.
Benedict, my final question to you. Did he say what his immediate assignment will be when he begins his official duty on the 1st of May?
He didn't mention anything of that sort. It was just after he said that, this definitely there's going to be some more time to talk about whatever he's coming to do. He has not officially met the Football Association executives to discuss his benchmark. And he says after he will meet the media in a presser and will address all issues regarding whatever he's coming to do and his target and everything.
Benedict Owusu, thanks very much for that update. He was at the Kotoka International Airport earlier to meet reappointed Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah on arrival, and he begins his official mandate from the 1st of May. Away from that, Inter-Allies have suspended head coach Prince Owusu for 1 match due to some negative rhetoric he directed at the management of the club during a league match between Ashanti Gold and their side, that's Inter-Allies, at the Elwak Stadium last Sunday. Assistant coach Wilson Asari is going to take charge as head of the technical team during their MTN FA Cup round of 64 match against Liberty Professionals at the same venue on Saturday. Head coach Prince Owusu, meanwhile, has apologized for his act and has promised to exhibit good conduct towards management of the club and not to repeat his mistake.
It will be a different story for them.
So there's more on the sports page of myjoyonline.com, especially the exclusive pictures of Kwesi Appiah's arrival at the Kotoka International Airport earlier today. And there's also more on Inter-Allies and other stories. You can check them out. We are also tweeting live on Twitter. The handle is @JoySports. On JoySportsGH. On Facebook, our address is JoySports. You can tweet at me personally. My Twitter handle is @Babatando. That's your sport. Good afternoon.
It's time to get some entertainment updates here on Joy News today. Now, this afternoon, self-acclaimed king of comedy, DKB, in an exclusive interview with Joy News, has been recounting his now famous ordeal on the Easter Comedy Night Show, which subsequently drove the former First Lady Nana Konadu Rawlings out midway through his performance, and also what he makes of comments that he is a boring comedian.
Truly, VJMS is called vaginas. Like from categories Afro-pop, vagina.
Well, you see, as a comedian, sometimes when mostly you have been excelling, like back to back to back, it gets to a point you have too much confidence in your materials and you believe you'll fly. And the only material I hadn't tried was VGMAs, because I knew VGMAs just a week after it's hot. So but I didn't know that people were sort of over it, and it didn't really kick the kind of laughter I was expecting. It just brought the decent laughter, then they stopped. So I should have also stopped there, but I felt it's VGMA, and I'm known to pick on trending stuff. So I knew at a point it would, break the bombshell and give them hilarious laughter, but it kept dipping. Then I went to Dumelo stuff also picked a bit, but not as expected. And then I think the Kennedy Japan one picked very well, but by that time I had lost the vim, because I felt like, like what's going on. My expectations wasn't met. So I first said it on stage that I think, Charlie, it's not going well. So what's the problem? Are they tired or something?
But DKB, when it happened, when you were on stage or when you came on stage, did you see the former First Lady walk out of the place?
Yeah, halfway the performance, I saw her going. I saw her get up and leave. And the mistake I made was to comment on it. It drew people's attention to the fact that the show is really dipping, because I should have ignored. But I tried to recognize, I was like, a big shout out to Nana Kundura Jima Rollins. And then I even cracked the joke about her that when Jerry was president, she was First Lady. So if she becomes president, what would Jerry become? And I left it to the crowd. They gave various response and they giggled a bit. It was just a harmless thing. But I think I shouldn't have commented on the fact that it made the show drown more. But I didn't know she was really going to pass those comments. All the jokes I said had nothing to do with former First Lady.